Hello and welcome to a cook's tour, and welcome to you very special people who have tuned in for the first wine pairing masterclass of the winter tour. It's great to be back and it's great to have you with us. I'm thrilled to have John Chantarasak here with me in the cook's tour studio to wet the whistle before the cook along with John begins. Desiree, how good it is to see you here. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thank you.
Well, you have brought 3 fabulous bottles of wine today.
Yes.
But to the best of my knowledge, Thailand is not renowned for its wine production. So I guess you've had to look a little bit closer to home.
No, yes. So for this journey, we've actually stuck to Europe. In fact, so the first bottle that we've got is from the Loire region in France. So let's kick things off.
Yes,
we've
please.
gone with, so we've got 100% Vouvray.
Oh, so this is a sort of fizzy number.
Yes, exactly. So this is an organic Chenin Blanc from the Vouvray area. And yes, something to kick things off. Something really fun, really vibrant, something spritzy. Doesn't have to pair with anything in particular. It goes with all of John's food and all of the cooking process as well. So,
okay, good. So this is something that you could eat with the food, or better still, probably just have now.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Cheers.
Fantastic. Yeah, so with this, what I really liked was, it's got a real kind of honeyed element and a slight sweetness. So for me, when I'm pairing Thai food, I really like to look for something that's maybe slightly lower in alcohol, but actually have elements of more sweetness to counteract any spice. So as I said, really nice honeyed notes, maybe pair almost like marzipan kind of.
And there's a little bit of tropicalness in there.
Yes.
Lychee or something.
Yeah. Really like luscious, really nice like kind of richness as well.
And how do they get the bubbles in there?
So this is actually a sort of second, it's actually made like a champagne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what they do is they do a second fermentation.
Yeah.
As it were, which kind of gets all the CO2 and the bubbles in it. But this is actually quite rare because we don't use the traditional champagne grapes. So normally you'd have Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, whereas here we've got the 100% Chenin Blanc grape instead. So that's what you've got, the much more kind of rich tropical notes, like kind of really nice honeyed juiciness.
Well, it's delicious. And of course, Chenin Blanc, that is the grape variety, isn't it? Of the Loire Valley.
Exactly, yeah.
So that all makes sense. Well, that's an absolute cracker. Can you follow it up with a delicious looking white? I think you can.
Yes, definitely. So here we have a Riesling. So for me, Riesling is the epitome of a perfect pairing with Thai food. It normally tends to have a bit of residual sugar and maybe sort of a bit of a punchy acidity, and sometimes because of the residual sugar, a little less alcohol. But for this one, we've gone to southern Germany. So, really great producer.
Can you have a whiff?
Yeah, let's have a look. Oh, amazing.
God, that smells good. When you say sort of Riesling, I automatically think that I'm going to be sort of visiting a petrol station, but not so much here.
No, I think it's super, super aromatic. Like it's so fragrant and gorgeous, and like.
Oh yes.
Beautiful acidity, really nice richness. Like this actually. So this richness is down to a bit of the winemaking skills that they've used here, and they've actually macerated the skins for 6 days, so essentially 6 days of skin contact, which has given it that kind of mouthfeel, that texture, which I think is so beautiful, and it's perfect with Thai food. It kind of holds onto your palate without overpowering any of the spice, and kind of actually gives you a little bit of kind of relief from any spice.
Yeah, well, I'm getting sort of orchard, quite a lot of apple.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you actually, okay, so this is a common problem I have. You're out for dinner and you're in a Thai restaurant and you see the wine list, and you go, okay, where do I go? Tell us, save us. What should we be looking for on a wine list?
Well, for me, I obviously sort of pair wines with John food quite a lot, and I always look to have something that is generally a bit lower in alcohol, generally a bit more aromatic, with a bit of body and good acidity.
Okay.
So yeah, you just, and less tannins in a red as well. So less tannins and less alcohol is what you want, essentially, not to overpower spicy food, because especially if you have like a heavy red or something like that, it can just kind of clash. So you want something to be able to let both type of wines sing.
Well, this is an excellent choice. And with Anglo-Thai, of course, John and Desiree's restaurant that is going to be opening in the spring, you must be doing a little bit of wine sampling at home at the moment, aren't you?
Definitely. It's been quite fun, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
Had a few suppliers come to the house. It's
good.
Brilliant.
Love that.
Exactly.
Okay. Brilliant. So, Riesling.
Yes.
Adorable, love it. And this red, I tell you, this has been winking at me because I'm a sucker when it comes to stylish branding, and I think this has got it. Tell us a little bit about this red and why you've chosen it.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting red. So we've actually gone back to the Loire region of France, and this is what I wanted to pair. So as I said, what I love to look for in a red is lower tannin. So this is really super light, really kind of refined, and it's from a family who have had the vineyards in their family for 15 generations, and essentially they have kind of got a really fantastic biodynamic philosophy instilled in all of their winemaking. So they're really, really kind of at one with the earth.
Wow.
In fact, to the point where they even kind of, instead of using presses for the wine when they're kind of crushing the grapes, they get all the family involved and sort of stomp on all the grapes. Yeah.
Oh my word. Does that add a certain sort of feety flavour to anything?
Definitely not, I can assure you. No, these are just like brilliantly pressed, and then they actually, something really rare, they age it in concrete and then amphora.
Amphora?
Yeah, so amphora is essentially a pottery vessel.
Yeah.
So you think about sort of pottery as a kind of a jug or a vase, whereas these can be up to sort of full size, almost like vases, which can be sort of human height, as it were. But you tend to bury them. So it gives the wine kind of the perfect temperature to age in. So yeah, it's something that's really kind of quite different. But
it's very good, and it's also, are you intentionally serving it a little bit chilled?
Definitely, yeah. So I quite like having a red that's quite chilled when it comes to having food like this. Anyway, I think just generally serving red wine chilled is something that has really come to me in the past few years, and I think it's been a lot more accepted in the last few years. But it's a brilliant way to kind of bring out the fruit and really kind of temper any hot, spicy food that you're having it with.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so top tips.
Definitely.
Top tips. Chill your red wine, and this is delicious Loire-based Cabernet Franc.
Cabernet Franc, yeah.
Okay, and then white wine, we've gone for a delicious Riesling. So, well, the perfect pair, and I hope those bubbles are going down well at home as well. Desiree, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for picking these wonderful wines. Well, we should probably leave these for John to try in a few minutes' time. His food.
Definitely.
But everyone at home, get your aprons ready, because we'll be back in a few minutes' time to welcome John for our first kick-along of the winter tour. See you shortly. Good evening and a warm welcome to a cook's tour. Good evening and a very warm welcome to a cook's tour and our first destination of the winter tour, Northern Thailand. We're thrilled to be back and so very pleased that you're here to join us. My name is Charlie Grant-Peterkin and I'm delighted to be joined this evening by the brilliant John Chantarasak.
Thank you.
John, very good to see you.
Yeah, lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. So, John, half British, half Thai, John draws his influence from his heritage. Having trained at Le Cordon Bleu in Bangkok, where he mastered traditional French cookery and worked with David Thompson at Nam, at the time rated the best restaurant in Asia. John returned to work in Britain at the award-winning Thai restaurant Som Sa. John now runs a pop-up Anglo-Thai with his wonderful wife, Desiree, where they fuse traditional Thai recipes and flavours with modern techniques, incorporating the best of British produce. Anglo-Thai is opening in London, a brand new restaurant this spring, and I can't wait to go. Pretty exciting stuff happening this year for you, John.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually been quite a long journey for us. I think this restaurant's about 3, 4, nearly 5 years in the making.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID kind of put a bit of an extended period on our opening, but we're truly excited to open this year. Very, very thrilled to be doing that, and in central London as well, where we've been calling our home for the last 14 years. So
wow.
Super nice to be able to bring something to the plate in the London food scene.
Love that. Well, it's great to have you here. It was wonderful having Desiree earlier talking about some wonderful wines, and we might tuck into a glass of it shortly. And also little Rufus, little baby Rufus,
yes.
here in the green room.
Exactly.
10 weeks young.
I was trying to see if he would come and do this cook along for me, but unfortunately, yeah, 10 weeks young. But no, very excited to have another member of the family, first baby as well. So
well, many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, look, here we go. We're off to Northern Thailand. Now, Northern Thailand. Why? Why specifically Northern Thailand? Tell us a little bit about it.
So the north, for me, I find the climate a lot nicer. It's not so humid, a lot cooler in the evenings. You can actually go out and walk around like you would in London. If you do that in Bangkok, you basically get through about 3 t-shirts in about 2 hours with the humidity. It's a very chilled out part of the country. Historically, a lot of monasteries up there, a lot of religious Buddhist monks up there. And people tend to sort of gravitate towards that period to kind of discover themselves, I guess. I think it's really interesting food coming from that area of the country. So it's landlocked, it's bordered with Laos and Burma, or now Myanmar, and some of that influence is found in the food.
So here we have
yeah.
Northern Thailand in here, and so it's Burma we've got.
In your very old school, very antique map.
Yes, it is rather, yeah. So I guess you've got all these influences coming from
exactly.
each and every direction.
So yeah, actually a lot of the influence comes in from the north down into Thailand. And a lot of this central region here is forested, and it actually historically meant that food from the central and the south didn't really travel up to that region. So it was kind of doing its own thing back in the day when each kind of area of Thailand was discovering what they were doing and where the food sort of hails from now. I just think it's a very interesting part of the country. I find the food is probably a bit more rustic, a little bit more relaxed in the way that it's cooked. A lot of it's over charcoal, and it tends to just be quite vibrant flavours, very herbal, just very delicious food. I find myself gravitating towards that when I want to cook at home.
Fabulous. Brilliant. Well, that's what we're going to be doing this evening, is cooking some exquisite Northern Thai dishes. So before we do, just a little bit of housekeeping for those who are new to a cook's tour. First thing to do is set your ovens now to 180. So get those on to 180 degrees. As ever, you have the choice. You can challenge yourself and cook along with John, or if you prefer, you can sit back, relax, tuck into a glass of the Vouvray, and then cook at your own leisure later, or indeed even tomorrow. We do have a live chat, so if you are cooking this evening, you are welcome to post any questions that you might have on the live chat, and Michael will get back to you with answers. We will be pausing throughout, but if you do need a little bit extra time, then just hit the space bar, and that will pause, and then you can press the space bar again, and it will release you. And of course, as ever, we've got the booklets. In there, we have the cook-along instructions, so you can refer to those if you need to. We love seeing your creations, so take photos, test your photography skills, and get posting. Use the hashtag #CookWithRocket, tag a cook's tour, that's us, tag him, Anglo Thai. Let's see those photographs, and I tell you, the best photographs, judged by him, we'll get a free box, a complimentary box on us to our next destination. And wow, I'll tell you more about that later on, but we're going to be going off to Paris with the incredible Anna Hoare. So that will be on the 10th and 11th of February. Great. Let's start cooking, but before we do, tell us quickly what's on tonight's menu, John.
Okay, so I've sort of taken influence from Northern Thailand, which is Chiang Rai region, which borders Myanmar or Burma, and then also northeastern Thailand, which is Isan. Both tend to have some overlap in the dishes, but also they have their own unique styles. I just felt like I like dishes from both, so why not grab and cherry pick from both. So we're going to start off with a few small plates. We're cooking a red curry paste sausage. It's a very famous dish from Chiang Mai, sai ua. So essentially just a pork sausage with red curry paste and herbs running through it. You see them all in the markets everywhere in Chiang Mai. We're doing some little kind of sweet corn fritters, serving that with a sriracha sauce. And then another typical dish from the northeastern province, like a marinated chicken skewer, which we're serving with a tamarind dipping sauce.
Fabulous.
And then sort of like the main event, a salmon red curry. We're going to mix up this red curry mix, put it in a banana leaf and roast it in the oven. And to go with that, steamed sticky rice and a traditional style salad, but using British produce to kind of get those same flavours and textures, but obviously trying to be a bit more sustainable with what we're doing here.
That sounds very exciting. And that's being served alongside sticky rice, I saw.
Yes. So the north is predominantly sticky rice is kind of reigns over up there. In the south and in central, it's a bit more focused on jasmine rice. And also I thought it'd be interesting, I'm not sure how many people would have steamed their own sticky rice at home, so I thought that'd be something interesting to put in the box and test your skills, and test my skills, because I haven't done it for a little while as well.
Good. Brilliant. Okay, well, without any further ado, let's get cooking, and I think actually we're starting with sticky rice, aren't we?
Yes.
So let me pass you a few bits and pieces. There's the rice.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do, we're going to cut out some banana leaf that goes into this bamboo steamer.
Okay.
Simply,
Everyone at home has received a bamboo steamer.
Yep, and a nice sheet of banana leaf. So in Thailand, it's very typical to use not only the plant and the vegetables, but they'll use like leaves and things. So normally, if you're going around the markets in Thailand, the dishes and the things and bits and bobs that you'll buy when you're eating throughout, which I recommend when you go to Thailand, is try everything at the markets. They'll wrap it up in some banana leaves rather than, it's right there, they've got it natural kind of resource to them. That one can...
And you've got this at home, okay? Don't get confused. There's one banana leaf which is rolled up like this, like a sort of a vat, okay? And that is to be cut and to go into there. And the other one is for the salmon later.
And so I've just cut out a circle to go in there, and I've just given it a little score so that you can get the steam coming through the banana leaf. Okay, so what I'll ask you to do, Charlie, is if you could drain the sticky rice. Yep. So what we've done is normally that would soak overnight. You use about 2 times the amount of water to the amount of rice that you want. It's quite whimsical. In the north, it's sort of fabled that people before they put themselves to bed, they put the rice to bed by covering it with water and sticking it away in a cool part of the house.
Okay.
Whether that's true or not, or it's
Well,
a nice story.
never let the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just going to strain this
Yep.
through the sieve. And what type of rice is this?
So it's glutinous sticky rice.
And what would you be buying if you're in the supermarket?
Yeah, you can buy that in the supermarket.
Okay.
You might have to go to a bit more of an Asian specialist.
Yeah.
But you should be able to find it in most good supermarkets.
Perfect.
And what I'm doing is just literally piling it into the steamer basket. And you want to have like a sort of dome shape.
Yeah. And if you didn't have the banana leaf, should you use something else?
Yeah, you could just use greaseproof, or you could just go straight in. The banana leaf not only looks cool, but it sends a nice fragrance around your house as the rice is steaming. So,
I imagine quite tricky to find though.
I've got some banana trees actually growing near my house, so I cut them down occasionally. One thing we should say is I've had a pot of water just simmering away here, just so it's up to boil. At home, I would just fill a kettle, boil it. You want to get a pan that's going to be like tight fitting around the bottom of your steamer basket.
Yeah.
So that's just going to go on, and there's about 1 inch of water in there. You don't want it to be bubbling up and touching the bottom of the rice inside. You just literally want to create that steam. And that's going on for 20 minutes.
Okay, so set your timer. So just to recap, you've got a saucepan, and then the steamer basket just needs to sit neatly on top of that saucepan.
That's right.
And you've got 1 inch of water in there. So boil that up in the kettle, 1 inch of water, and then pop it on and set the time for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then at 20 minutes, we're going to revisit it. We're basically just going to flip the whole mound of rice and then steam it again for a further 15 minutes. One thing I was saying to you earlier, it's very hard to over steam sticky rice, so
I was going to mention...
I'll try not to ruin it today.
I reckon, yeah, well, let's see what happens. Hey, let's see what happens later on. I have every confidence. Okay, so sticky rice on the go.
Yep.
Onto the salmon.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the curry. I think it would be impossible to cook a Thai menu without featuring a curry of some sort, and I think this one is probably a bit more interesting than what people have seen before. So typically you would fry out a curry paste and add your proteins and vegetables and let it out with coconut cream. In the north, the coconut cream isn't so readily available. So what we're doing here instead is we're going to cut a load of ingredients up. We're going to mix it with a red curry sauce that you're going to have pre-made and given to you at home. And do you want me to cut it on that one, or?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was getting ahead of myself. There we go.
And then we're going to mix it all together and then steam it in the banana leaf.
Perfect.
So what I'm going to do is just cut this into irregular sort of 2 centimetre pieces. You can go with like cubes if you like, but I'm sort of a fan of the organised chaos, I guess.
And the reason, I mean, it's a whole piece, but the reason you're cutting it up is to...
In Thailand, people eat with a fork and spoon most of the time, and that means that the food is generally cut into bite-sized pieces already for them. It's just the way that it is in Thailand. Like, you wouldn't get a knife, so to speak, on the dinner table.
And I suppose actually it works quite neatly with the marinade too, that you get sort of more surface area, do you?
Exactly. Basically, we're just kind of making like a nice little curried parcel.
Yeah.
So we've got the salmon that's been cut. I'm just top and tailing these green beans.
Yeah.
And then just cut them again. I'm going for like 1 centimetre.
Okay. So salmon into the mixing bowl, top and tail your green beans, and then chop them into sort of centimetre lengths.
Exactly.
Right, before you go on, what's in there? Because that looks pretty serious.
So red curry paste, fish sauce, coconut cream, some herbs, some palm sugar. So basically this is a raw paste. You can taste it like this. Yeah, of course.
It's not going to blow my head off, is it?
Hopefully not.
Well, you are renowned for quite spicy food, aren't you?
This one should be fine. I actually just tasted a little bit before we started.
Wow.
So very aromatic, actually. So the curry paste, it's chilies, lemongrass, galangal, shallots, garlic, some coriander root, and then coriander seed.
I dare you to try it at home. I mean, when they talk about flavour explosions, that is something else. Wow, that's incredible.
So you want it basically nicely coated. I'll just go for the whole lot.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
So nicely coated.
Yeah.
And does that need to sort of sit and chill out and marinate, or?
It can do, but because we've gone with fish on this instant, you know, it cooks very quickly, and that's the same with like if you add anything sort of fish sauce wise or salty or acidic, it's going to start cooking it, so you don't want it to, you wouldn't leave that for like an hour or so.
Okay.
Probably end up with some sort of weird red curry ceviche thing going on.
Okay, fine. Best avoided.
Yeah.
I can see that you've reached for the pouch.
Yes. So
What are you picking out?
well, typically in Thailand with this kind of style eating, you would eat lots of fresh herbs and lots of fresh vegetables with it. So we've kind of given you some of that feeling at home. I'm actually reaching for Thai basil. I think it's got a sort of like sweet aniseed flavour to it, but also it's a very kind of, I think, a very typical herbal flavour from Thailand. I mean, it's in the name, Thai basil, so
Yeah.
it had to be on the menu really.
And you were saying, I mean, what are the sort of, with Thai cuisine, what are the sort of the characteristics, if you like? What are the things that, you know, really make it?
In terms of flavour profile?
Yeah, well, in terms of ingredients, actually. Well, and flavour profile, why not?
So, I mean, ingredients-wise, it's a very different set of ingredients, I guess. I mean, like chilies, lemongrass, lime leaf. I mean, there's a lot of like jungle-style things on offer, and there's a lot of herbs. I mean, the climate is, don't need that one. The climate is incredibly hot, so a lot of tropical fruits, a lot of tropical vegetables.
Yeah.
Very different from our climate, really. I mean, it's very diverse, like any country, really. Shall I just explain what I'm doing with
Yes,
this?
please. Yeah.
So, again, banana leaves. Quite interesting in this preparation. So this is sort of like a raw banana leaf, so to speak. And here, typically because a lot of the food is cooked over charcoal, and this dish would be cooked over charcoal, you would put the leaf over fire, and it allows the leaf to be malleable and it won't break as much. So what I've got here is 2 of these leaves, one face down. I put the shiny side out because I want it to look nice when it comes out anyway.
Yeah.
And the seam is going this way, so I'm going to put this one going the other way, and that's just going to add a bit more like reinforcement when we're folding it.
So these 2 banana leaves have been torched.
Exactly.
Okay, and that gives it a bit more strength and...
Exactly.
Okay, so what's going on here?
So I've just put half of the Thai basil on the bottom,
Yeah,
and then I'm literally just piling up the curry,
on top.
and then I'm basically just going to like sandwich it in all the fresh herbs.
Okay. Is it very important to make sure that you've got your banana leaves running in the right direction?
I'm sure you could get away with it if it wasn't.
Okay.
So I've got Thai basil, and then here this is kind of like a very typical flavour from Thailand. It's the makrut lime leaf or kaffir lime leaf. So we use the fruits in the cuisine, and we also use the leaves. This instance, I'm just going to put the leaf in the parcel.
Okay.
And then it's a bit of kind of
Okay, you might have
origami.
to nice and slowly.
So I'm basically just going to fold up the 4 edges. I haven't actually done this for a while, so hopefully it won't go too wrong. But you kind of just want to create like a tight parcel. I'm just feeling where that...
Where the edges. And
Exactly.
then back in.
And then the same again there.
Gosh, masterfully done.
And what you can do is literally just set it on like that, and obviously then it won't flip itself open. We've given you little bamboo sticks, so if you did want to kind of toothpick it together, you could as well. You just sort of want to weave it through if you're doing that.
Gosh, that's very neat. It's pretty durable, isn't it? That.
Yeah, no, definitely. And typically in Thailand, that could go on the grill, that could go in the steamer. This one, we're going to stick it in the oven. I think that's a bit more approachable for people at home. So I've just got an oven tray here. Just going to go straight on. I'm going to pop that in 180 degrees for 18 minutes.
Okay. So in the oven on a baking sheet, another timer being set for 18 minutes.
So yeah, that's basically our main course. Part of the dish is now just cooking away in the background. We've got the rice going as well in the background.
Great.
And we're just going to move on to the other sort of like protein style bits of the box.
Starting with the chicken.
Yeah, get our hands dirty a little bit, I think.
Okay,
next.
well, There it is.
I've got some gloves to make my hands less dirty, but
I'm enjoying this series of a cook's tour. The design department have created colour-coded labels for our benefit, so it makes my job incredibly easy just to sort of pick out the items that we need for each course. So I hope everyone at home is finding that nice and easy to follow too. But just a reminder, do hit the space bar if you do need a little bit of extra time. Okay, I can see you, John, you're turning on a pan.
So what I'm going to do, because again, like I was saying, I've mentioned it a few times, in the north of Thailand, there's a lot of forest around, so the forests are cut down and that is used as a cooking fuel. So a lot of stuff is cooked over fire. We're going to just sort of like emulate those bits and bobs by using your domestic home setup. So I'm going to skewer up these chicken and then sear it in a pan and finish it in the oven.
Have you cooked in Thailand on fire?
Yes.
You have?
Many times.
Oh, that's cool.
Naarm, we used to have a live charcoal, like a charcoal grill in the kitchen.
Really? Just everything went on there?
Bits and bobs. I mean, it's a very different style cuisine. So, you know, wok burners and charcoal grills and interesting giant pestle and mortars knocking away constantly.
It's a little bit different from the
bit
here.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
So these chicken pieces have been cut again, sort of bite size.
Yeah.
And the marinade is very typical from Isan, northeastern Thailand. It's coriander root, garlic, peppercorn, turmeric, and that's where the colour comes in. Palm sugar, fish sauce, and a few other bits and bobs. But this has just been marinating for about, well, overnight kind of thing.
We were talking a little bit, weren't we, about ingredients, and you mentioned fish sauce.
Yes.
That's one of those. I mean, that's
the holy grail of.
Yeah, the holy grail.
No, I mean, fish sauce is used to basically season everything in Thailand. I mean, it's got that sort of like umami saltiness to it. Very delicious. I think originally the preparation is from the Romans, actually. So in Rome, they used to make something called garum, which trendy chefs are now bringing back to life.
Like yourself?
I wouldn't call myself trendy, but no. So yeah, it's basically you salt a product and leave it for a very long time to break down and become a kind of seasoning sauce.
Yeah.
People are doing it with like mushrooms and bits and bobs like that these days, but originally I think it started off with fish.
It must have been incredible learning your craft in Bangkok. And
yeah, no, it was amazing. I mean,
but at a French cookery school.
So
how does that figure?
I wasn't sure what to do with my life at that point.
Where have I heard this before?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those ones.
Yeah.
So just here, I'm just getting a pan hot to sear them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was about 7, 8 years ago. Actually, I might just put a drop of oil in just so we don't burn things too much. But I want to look to get that kind of colour and caramelisation, so obviously.
So a bit of burn is no bad.
A bit of burn is no bad thing, yeah, exactly.
And that's quite a hot pan. Oh yeah, I can hear the sizzle.
We're not going to cook them all the way here anyway.
Okay.
So it's just to, again, get that colour. Yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing when I went to Thailand. So I knew that I liked food and I knew that maybe I wanted to be involved in hospitality.
Yeah.
So decided that cordon bleu cooking course was probably like a good level to learn. I've got family in Thailand, I've got friends in Thailand. It just felt like, why not do it in Thailand rather than in somewhere else like Europe?
Yeah.
And ended up instead cooking in Thai kitchens and learning how to cook Thai food. But, you know, that's no bad thing either.
That's no bad thing. But your passion now is, yes, cooking Thai food, but here in the UK, using British ingredients, but harking back to sort of classic technique.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm born and raised in the UK. I have family that still reside in Bangkok. I've eaten Thai food throughout my whole life, and every time we probably go back every year, and I'm just getting nice colour on like that.
Great colour.
So my grandma is a fantastic cook. It's kind of like the boss of the family in Thailand.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I came back to England, I've been cooking Thai food for about 7, 8 years in London. but it was a little bit upsetting seeing everything being imported down to some of the fresh herbs and bits and bobs. So it's quite hard to call something fresh if it's flowing in from Thailand and then ending up on a plate a couple of weeks after it's maybe been picked. So that's where I started exploring either using the ingredients like a Thai basil but grown in the UK, or trying to find other ingredients that replicate maybe some of those flavour profiles. So I think that's fine.
Colour as you need.
And then I'm going to finish that in the oven.
Okay.
So it's going to take about 12 minutes, and that's about the same time as the salmon now.
Well, with these cook-alongs, it's all about bringing everything together, isn't it?
Yeah, so...
And then you've got
yes.
the sauce. Let me pass you that. So this is a tamarind dipping sauce.
Yes, so it's called a jiao in Thailand. I don't know what that means actually. It's just the name of the sauce. But essentially, in the north, you would eat this kind of spicy sauce with grilled meats. Tend to be meats, not fish.
Yes.
And this one, it's sort of like a moody chili sauce made with palm sugar, fish sauce, dried chilies, and tamarind. So the tamarind adds like a fruity sort of sweetness to it.
I like that, moody. It's got a little bit of attitude.
Exactly. So yeah, this is one of my favourite sauces. It's good with like grilled pork or steak, but equally so, it's very typically eaten with grilled chicken. So felt like it was a natural pairing. So you got...
And if there's a bit left over at home, then it can sit in the fridge for a day or two, can it?
Yeah, definitely so.
Can I try some? Hold on.
Please do.
Now, is this going to be spicy? Moody.
You tell me.
Oh, I like it. Oh yeah, the tamarind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, just a very typical dipping sauce from that region. This dish, normally you'd probably see like whole chickens being grilled, served with this. We're just trying to do it in a bit more kind of like accessible way for at home.
Perfect.
You can, if you choose to, find a recipe, marinate a whole chicken and then grill it up, and then you would like hack it up with a cleaver, and that's the kind of like very favourable way of eating stuff in Thailand.
Oh, great. Okay, well,
Good stuff.
Let's move on then. Everyone at home, we're going to look at the Chiang Mai herbal sausage.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about this, because this is, what's the story here? This sausage has been made by H.G. Walter.
Yeah.
What's your specification?
So we have a really great relationship with our butchers, H.G. Walter.
Yeah.
Fantastic family-run London butchers. And one of the directors, Adam, he is actually married to a woman from Isan, from the northeastern province of Thailand.
Okay.
So he's always been very interested in what we're doing at Anglo-Thai and always been very supportive of what we do. So interestingly, this kind of collaboration came about in lockdown. Adam sort of threw us a lifeline and said, do you want to do a home delivery box? This is back when no one really knew what these were.
Yeah.
And we decided to do a Chiang Mai sausage hot dog kit, which sold incredibly well.
can
And was
imagine.
like a good one for us, actually.
Yeah.
But then ever since then, H.G. Walter have just been making these sausages for us, which is
Great.
fantastic for things like this. In the restaurant, we'd make our own, but in this instance, it's really great that we got the support from those guys. You know, amazing butchers. They've got all the machinery and the knowledge to make it happen, and I think they get very excited about supporting us with like making Thai-style dishes.
Good on them. Okay.
But yeah, it's a very traditional sausage from Chiang Mai. So pork sausage. Pork's kind of like one of the most favoured, I guess, proteins in that region.
Yeah.
And in Thailand, they will use the whole animal. So you know, sausages historically, they are good at using up bits and bobs from a pig that maybe aren't like the loin or the chop or something like that. I'm just going to put this in the oven as well. I think what I said to you earlier, hopefully everyone knows how to cook a sausage and has done.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, you know, if you want to cook it in the pan, if you want to do it under a grill, if you want to get really into it and light a barbecue, then be my guest. we don't have the space for that here, so
Sadly
we're just
not.
going with the oven.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the sausage, pork sausage, it's got red curry paste running through it, lemongrass, lime leaves, some dry spices. I think just a really delicious sausage.
And could we at home, could we nip into our butcher and say, look, here's my pouch of herbs and spices, make me a sausage?
You might be able
Whether
to.
it was-
Depends how good your relationship is with your
You'd
butcher.
probably need quite a big vat of sausage, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would expect so. I mean, you can make it at home quite easily if you just like Google. I mean, you can Google anything these days, but you just need to buy the hog casing, and your butchers will be able to supply you with that. The best way I can recommend is you make a sort of sausage meat stuffing mix. If you can get a piping bag, and then you just pipe it into the sausage. I think that's what we did at the
Back at
the
HQ.
unit.
Yeah.
But so we're going to serve that with cucumber, like very typical accompaniment for this. It's because the sausage is so rich and sort of like fatty that you need something like lean and refreshing. You'd eat fresh herbs with this as well. And then also we've made some pork scratchings.
Yeah.
So again, it's something very typical that's eaten with this sausage, like to nibble on kind of food.
Okay, cool.
You can cut the cucumber however you like, but in Thailand they would basically take the knife and then pull the knife down towards you, and then you roll the cucumber. And what this does is when you eat things like dips and stuff with it, you can like scoop it up. So you make your basically like your own little like crudité.
Nice. So straight along and then roll it.
Yeah. So like this. We used to call it roll cutting when we were at Nam.
That's a great knife skill.
It's just a bit more interesting, should we say.
Let me get that out of the way. Oh,
So that's rice. I'll just leave
rice. So
those
that's
there.
rice having a flip.
Yes.
Do you want to bring it over here and then
Yeah.
have a look under the top camera?
I'm just going to pop a little bit more water in there.
Okay. I'm intrigued to see how it's getting on in there, that little bundle of joy.
Yeah, so you should see now that it's starting to go a bit more opaque, I guess.
Yes.
And this means that the rice is starting to cook. Basically, the finished rice grain will be sort of white in the middle, but clear on the outside. So you almost like pasta, you want it to have a little bit of that like al dente bite to it.
And then it's sort of almost clinging together. Isn't it?
Yeah, so it should be kind of stuck to itself, and might be able
Searching
to
for
just.
the right weapon. You've got a small armoury of items to choose from.
So I'm just gonna flip it over like that,
Good job.
and then we'll just finish the cooking.
And what was that? Another? Did you say 8
I'm going to go for 15 minutes.
15
with
minutes?
That. Yeah.
Perfect. But I mean, quote John, you can't muck this up. So you know.
So you basically want it to have that like chewy feel to it. That's like the characteristic of glutinous sticky rice.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be that vehicle, isn't it, to carry all.
Exactly. Again, in Thailand, people eat with their hands. They tend to eat with their hands in that part of the country. And like with the cucumbers, they would take a bit of rice and mould it into almost like a little edible spoon, and then they can like dip it into curries and scoop things out, and you know, be very resourceful in that way.
Resourceful, isn't it? Okay. Right. So here we go. On to the next dish. Everyone at home, I hope you're keeping up. We're on to the kohlrabi and carrot salad.
Yes. So this is quite an interesting one for us. It's basically our version of a somtam. Somtam means sour tumbled, and typically this dish is made in a pestle and mortar like this. Shall I grab
Bring it over. Go on. Let's have a look. It's a great piece of kit.
Yeah, so in the markets you would see people with these, and you would hear this noise, and that's when you know you're going to get a somtam salad
Not
from that
too
trader.
loud, so wait Rufus up.
That's true.
Behaving immaculately.
So typically made with green papaya. There's like hundreds of different versions of it in Thailand.
Yeah.
But the kind of classic style is a dressing made from chilies, which are spicy, sugar, which is sweet, lime juice and tamarind, which is sour, and then fish sauce, which is salty. And that's the four S's of Thai cuisine that I kind of think of. And so kind of some of the stuff that we do at Anglo-Thai is instead of using palm sugar, we'll use local honey from London beehives, and that creates the sweetness. We might use horseradish instead of chilies to create that spice level.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like our thought process. We've made the kind of classic style dressing for the guys at home, but instead of using green papaya, which is incredibly expensive to buy and tastes of nothing when you get it in the UK,
Yeah.
we've gone with heritage carrots and kohlrabi.
Brilliant.
I think a really nice sort of like sweet, earthy vegetable. And what's going to happen is this vegetable is going to like absorb all this dressing and be incredibly like fresh and vibrant on the palate. But basically, it's quite typical for these salads to have dried shrimp in them, and all I'm going to do is just soak these dried shrimp, just that really,
Okay.
and that's just going to soften them and give them a bit of a clean. And when we're ready to plate up, if you rinse those off for me.
Yeah. So if you missed that at home, John just simply poured water into the dried shrimp pot and put the lid back on.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Don't make it too difficult for yourself.
No, definitely don't. Save the washing up.
But so in Thailand, you would basically make this salad, pound it up in a pestle and mortar. At home, I'm sure not many people have that, so we're just going to use a mixing bowl.
Okay.
But yeah, so in Thailand as well, like this, that's my curry.
That's okay.
It'll be all right for a second. In Thailand, the green papaya, whatever vegetable is being used, gets shredded into these sort of like spaghetti threads.
Yeah.
So we've done that.
How
For
do they do that?
There's a couple of ways. In the modern age that we are now, there's
Yeah.
a specific kind of grater.
Sure.
But back in the day, you would hold like a papaya and chip at it like this, and then kind of shave off the pieces. So you can almost tell when you're in Thailand now if you get the very authentic old school ones, because you can see the very irregular shape pieces. But all we're going to do here is we've got crushed peanuts, or I'm going to crush the peanuts. This will give like a nutty flavour to the salad.
And these are just regular peanuts, salted peanuts?
Just regular blanched peanuts, and then we've just roasted them.
Uh-huh. Peanuts feature a lot, doesn't it?
They do.
Thai cuisine.
So we tend to use, in the restaurant, we use a few different things, maybe like hobnuts or hazelnut or something that's like a bit more British.
Bit more British.
But I wanted to kind of, you know, if you start changing a lot of the ingredients, then it's quite hard for the person to sort of know what the reference point is. So we just try and do it one step at a time sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep these two aside for later, because we'll dress this right at the end so that the salad retains nice crunch and freshness to it.
Okay, perfect. So we're just going to, as they say, reserve that for a little bit later on.
So I will take a look at these bits and bobs.
Okay, so what have we got going? We've got the chicken in the oven, we've got the salmon, the buzzer's gone for the salmon, and we've got the Chiang Mai sausage too. What are you looking for, chef? I can.
I was just going to put the chicken on something. I think just the edge of the chopping board.
On the board, that's totally fine. That's looking great. And how's the sausage coming along?
So the sausage will take like another 10 minutes or so, and I think that will probably be good for when we're going to be plating up.
Excellent.
So, I mean, I can pretty much feel that that's cooked in there. But do you want me to bring it over?
Bring it over, let's have a look, and let's I'm following along at home so they know where we're at.
So I can just feel that chicken's cooked, but
Right.
definitely at home, maybe cut into one and have a look. So yeah, basically this parcel is going to have like roasted and steamed at the same time, so retained all the like juiciness from the salmon, as you can see in there. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And at this stage, a lot of these dishes in Thailand, they would be in kind of like ambient temperature, not sort of boiling, blow your face off in terms of the heat level. So for me, that's absolutely fine to just kind of let chill out somewhere while you're getting on with the last bit.
Perfect. And the same is true of the chicken. Would you serve that to sort of a more ambient room temperature too?
Exactly.
So both these dishes can just be reserved.
So I might actually just leave them on the chopping board.
Okay.
Try not to burn your hands.
Okay. Well, we have one more dish to do before we start plating, and that's the fried sweet corn fritters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've got about 10 minutes left on the rice, so that I think is going to be perfect for the sausage as well.
Ideal.
So I've got a pan that has just been on a low, gentle heat at the moment. And we're basically, it's almost reminiscent of sort of like a drop pancake type texture that we're going to go for in cooking method here.
Yeah.
So again, from the north of Thailand, it's like a flour, almost like tempura sweet corn mix. So we've got a few different types of flour, sparkling water, curry paste, fresh herbs, sweet corn obviously, and then a little baking powder which gives it kind of like a fluffy feel to it.
Oh, delicious.
So
the plan is that you're going to sort of cook those as you would a sort of a crumpet or no, scone.
yeah, just like a little kind of like American pancake,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got a pan here
Yeah.
that's kind of like, I guess, medium heat, and then just standard vegetable oil,
Right of oil.
and then I will select.
Actually, I've got. Do you want a dessert spoon? No.
Got this guy here, I think.
Well done. Oh, give it a little bit of a stir.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
there's the sweet corn. Yes.
want to make sure that it's like, yeah, exactly. Maybe just a little bit of a stir.
And do you need the pan super hot or?
No, I don't. I don't want it to be like blackened on the outside and raw
Yeah.
mixture in the middle. But definitely, you want it enough so that it kind of seals it.
Yeah.
We just want like a golden brown. I think like a decent size tablespoon, maybe a little tablespoon and a half kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Go on. A bit more generous. Yes, that looks good. Those are exciting, and they're being served with sriracha.
Yeah, so just a classic Thai sriracha sauce. So basically fermented chili and chili vinegar sauce.
Yeah. Sriracha is sort of.
It's actually from the south.
Is it from the south?
Yeah, it is.
I was going to also say it's quite sort of commonplace here in the UK now. I mean, a couple of years ago, you'd never heard of this stuff.
No, I mean, there's a place in Thailand in the south called Sriracha where the sauce originated from.
Okay.
It's slightly different to the sauce that we get in the supermarkets today. But saying that, I'm still heavily addicted into the ones that we get in the supermarkets today, so I
Yeah.
think that's fine.
Have you eaten some pretty funky things in Thailand? What's the funkiest thing you've ever eaten?
I mean, I've eaten a raw buffalo offal salad before, which is
gosh.
pretty out there.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, a lot of the like raw stuff. So there's a dish in Thailand called larb. It's basically, the dish gets its namesake from the action of cleavering meat. It's called larping, and that you end up with this like minced, very fine minced meat. And in the north, it's seasoned with a dry spice blend called priklab, which is kind of like Northern Thailand's garam masala blend, I guess. But between the kind of old men in the villages, it's quite commonplace to eat that dish completely raw, and it's not like we serve it in the restaurant more like tartare style with very fine quality beef.
Of course.
In the north of Thailand, I've definitely had it
That's
with bits of spine and organs and blood and all the rest of it. So that's probably the weirdest.
That's the weirdest.
Surprisingly, didn't get sick when I've eaten it. So.
So whilst we're waiting for Anglo-Thai to open this spring, where could we go in sort of the UK or London or for sort of an authentic Northern Thai experience, do you think?
So I love Somsa. I cooked there for 5 years. Fantastic restaurant. They've done great things in the London food scene. Kiln is also a good one in Soho. That's very much focused on the Lana area, so the Isan region of Thailand. It's quite like pungent, the food, I guess you'd say. So I've just basically got this like nice golden brown colour and then do the flip.
Okay. You can still see a few sort of bubbles coming through, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Good indication that it's.
It's when it starts kind of like cooking around the side.
Yeah, it gets a bit
Then you know that it's kind of, it'll be ready for a flip. Any longer and you're probably going to end up with like a burnt on one side. So just cook those off for 2 minutes or so.
2 minutes.
Hopefully that'll be all coming together at the same time.
Good, because we're going to get to that moment where we're going to start bringing everything together for a bit of plating.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I'd say as well with things like this, when I cook at home, I really like being able to keep it as accessible as possible and keep it as easy as possible for myself. So if you do find yourself, you know, these have come out a little bit early and you feel they might be a bit cold, just put them through the oven for a minute and you're going to be back. Be back to like as good as they're going to be. So
good. Well, whilst those are just finishing off, it gives me just a moment or two just to remind you of where we're going next. 10th, 11th of February, whilst we're sort of warming up for the romance that is Valentine's, we are going to be off to Paris for a food lovers night in Paris with, well, the Anna Hall, who is a fabulous chef, trained under Gordon Ramsay, has her own restaurant in SW3 called Myrtle, and is a regular guest on Saturday Kitchen. And so she will be here teaching you at home how to make the most wonderful truffle velouté. We're going to be creating an assiette of salmon. We're then going to be having a beef en croûte, which to us we could call beef Wellington if you prefer. And then we'll be finishing that all off with the most incredible macaroons. So, and there's a Gusbourne wine pairing to go alongside that too. So if you're into some English sparkles, then definitely join us for that wine tasting experience as well. So that's in a couple of weeks' time with Anna Hall. But at the moment, we're a long way from Paris. We're actually in Northern Thailand with John. So how are we getting on over there?
So I think these are done.
Good man. So a bit of colour on both sides.
Yep, and you can almost like feel that they're like light and airy now.
Yeah.
That's the baking powder in them that's just helped them make like a nice fluffy sort of fritter. So I'll just rest them here.
Shall I bring you over? I think this is the one here, isn't it? Oh, everything is coming together very nicely, Chef.
Hopefully so.
And there's a minute left on the pinger. For where we're at, sausage and rice. Well, if you like, we could start plating up the dishes.
So maybe we'll finish the salad off
Let's
as
finish
well.
the salad off. Yeah, that's a good idea.
There you go.
The old sort of juggling act here in the cook's tour kitchen.
So yeah, I've got this.
We pop that there, then we'll get
Exactly.
a shot on the overcam.
So I've got this dressing, again, just to remind people what's in it. Chilies, garlic, fish sauce, palm sugar, lime juice and tamarind.
In it goes.
And if you wouldn't mind draining those off.
Yeah,
for
of
me,
course.
please, Charlie.
So these are the shrimps which we've had soaking. Easy to find dried shrimp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll find them in Asian supermarkets super easily. And the thing these days as well is you can just order all this stuff on Amazon these days.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably end up coming later that day for you as well.
Do you find yourself doing that in the restaurant when you've forgotten a thing?
I try not to.
No, I'm sure you.
I try to be efficient. So what I quite like to do when I show people about making this salad at home is, we talked about the pestle and mortar and it kind of bruising the ingredient. The reason is that we didn't dress it too early is because I didn't want this to go kind of super soggy and flat. But what I am doing now is quite aggressively sort of bruising these vegetables.
Yeah.
And what that's going to do is open up the pores and they're going to absorb the dressing. And that's just the best way to have it, really.
That's a top tip.
There you go.
There you go. So perhaps any sort of vegetable-based salad, you want to sort of...
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't recommend it with like a salad leaf.
No.
You might end up with something
Yeah.
fairly disgusting. But yeah, I mean, salads in Thailand, salads are a very different conception to what we have in the Western world.
Yeah.
a lot of fresh herbs and vegetables and things like that go into them, as opposed to just a tomato and a cucumber.
Sorry, I'm going to put that there.
Okay.
There we go. Oh,
I always like to pile it up. I think we like to say height is flavour in the restaurant. That's
good.
It's an extra £5 on your dish then.
That does look so good, and the smells, I tell you.
So shall I?
Yeah, so
them
let's move that
along?
out of the way. That's perfect. Right, what's the next?
Just letting those sausages cook down. So we can just plate everything up,
Yeah,
I think.
Great.
Well, obviously we heard the timer go off for the rice, so we should check it out.
Now your rice, you've used this rather sort of incredible steamer basket.
Yeah, so
Basket?
in Thailand, this is a very typical way of storing and serving sticky rice. You would get one of these handed to you in the north. In big families, you'd have like a big one that gets filled up and everyone helps themselves. I think they put them together like this because people take them out in the fields and they don't want to lose bits of the steamer.
That looks like it's done a great job.
So I might just trouble you for
Another
one of
spoon?
these. Best way to tell is to break it in the middle and try some of the grains from there. And if you try that, they're cooked. They've got like a bite to them still, but they're chewy and bouncy. That's kind of what you're looking for.
I'd say that was absolutely spot on.
I mean, at home you could probably just serve it in your nice little
Out of your steamer basket.
steamer basket.
Why not? Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, you can put it in a bowl or on a plate or whatever. I'm just going to stick it in this for the full effect. And that just stays warm in there then as well.
Very good. Should we pop the chicken on there?
Yeah, let's go for it. So, yeah, I've got all these little plates as well that I've brought from home. I've picked them up along my travels in the north, but I think all the nice little vibrant popping colours are really nice for this kind of thing.
It's almost time for that glass of wine, John. So is it going to be, would you like something bubbly, the Vouvray, or there's the Riesling, or we've got this hurly-burly, which is Cabernet Franc?
I think
Go on.
the Vouvray has to be, right?
Some bubbles, okay. What can I pass you next?
So I'll just go for the fritters on here. And I've got the sriracha sauce, which I'm just going to put again into another little ramekin. And as I've got a bit of space on this one, I might go reach for this. And like I said, in Thailand you would eat fresh herbs and vegetables and things with this. So some stuff that I like to serve, we've got mint and coriander here. Things like radishes, fennel's nice. Raw cabbage is eaten quite a lot in Thailand. And because some of these dishes have like very strong flavours, it's quite good to have something fresh every now and again. So you might have a bit of the chicken and then a couple of bites of herb and then go to the salad and then move on to the curry, and that's sort of the perfect way to eat Thai food. It creates like that balance of having a lot of different flavours and textures.
Great. And the herbs you can very much use as you wish, can't you?
Yeah, so again, with the restaurant and at home, we grow a lot of herbs that may be a bit more unusual to find. So I serve nasturtium a lot. I quite like that like peppery flavour that you get from a nasturtium leaf. And also in Thailand, they have a leaf called bai shampoo, which is betel leaf. And it has that sort of flavour profile of a nasturtium leaf.
That looks incredible. That smells so good as well.
So that's that guy. And then I'll just grab the sausage out.
Sausage out. HG Walter Chiang Mai banger.
What I'll do, bring it over.
And you're serving this along with the pork scratchings and the cucumbers that we made out.
Yeah, so again, with like these rich, sort of meaty, like it's a very rich meaty dish. You need some like freshness against that. I think having some pork scratchings is always a good thing.
Always a good thing.
Always a good thing. So these might be a bit hot, but.
So maybe at home rest them for a few moments, but here we're just going to dive straight in. Yes, they look great. Right, well, so you're cutting that. I'm going to do a little bit of studio rearrangement. I've got our Vouvray on standby. Get rid of my notes, and then we can bring all the dishes in for that final reveal, that final moment. Beautifully done, chef.
There you go.
Great. Well,
I think that's everything.
that is it. Unless you've got something in your back pocket you're not telling us about. So let's bring that all in. And what I might ask you to do, John, is just give us a little bit of a menu recap. Have we got that all nicely sitting on the overhead cam?
There you
I hope
go.
so. There we go. Right at the ready. So talk us through the dishes.
Okay, so we'll start here. We've got a selection of plates from Northern Thailand, northeastern Thailand. So we've got sweet corn fritters with a sriracha sauce, a marinated chicken skewer with a tamarind dipping sauce, red curry and lemongrass sausage with pork scratchings and cucumber. On the side, a traditional style som tam salad, but with kohlrabi and carrot, steamed sticky rice, and then a salmon and green bean roasted banana leaf curry.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well done, chef. You have earned yourself a drink. Let me pop the wines there as well for those at home, just a reminder of what we've been tucking into. And what an incredible way to start the winter tour. Thank you so much, John. And well, I need to try something, but I can't try too much because I've got to do some chatting. So let me have a quick go on one of these here, one of these skewer bits of chicken. Oh. Fantastic. I mean, I think the crew are delighted that Cook's Tour is back in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for putting this all together. It's been a great, great, great pleasure meeting you and meeting Desiree and hearing all about Northern Thailand, hearing all about your plans for 2022, and wish you all the very best.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Absolute pleasure. And everyone at home, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And please do take your photographs. Get those sent in, post them on Instagram, hashtag cookwithrocket, tag a Cook's Tour, tag Anglo-Thai, and we will, of course, give a complimentary box to our next cook-along in 2 weeks' time for the worthy winner. And please do tell your friends and family. Yes, spread the word. Please spread the word. It's great to be here. It's great to be back. And we look forward to seeing you all again next time. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone at home. See you again soon. Bye.